as always, your faces won't be in the recording, but your voices might be. But also, as always, I can't see the chat, so please make sure you actually vocalize your questions. So our two main goals today is to examine how we can, how can we create cylinders, okay, in perspective. And then our other big tool today that we want to look at is we're going to have a little bit of introduction to light. So here you can see the cylinder that I created. It has multiple dimensional planes as it twists through space. Okay, and as it twists through space, also we have light logic. So light logic being the way that light moves around a form. And so we can see that light must be hitting this side first because it is brightest. And then over here it is darkest. And then on the bottom, there's a bit of reflected light. We're not worried so much about this plane first. We're just going to focus up here. Okay, so what I want to do with you all to begin with is I'm actually just going to clear this away. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. Okay, and then these are all my layers here that we're going to be building together. So one of the things that I found when I was doing this for you is that I found that I wanted to make tons of extra layers, and I did, and it was really helpful. So I'm going to talk a little bit, while we're going along. I'm going to say you might want to make a new layer here. And when I do that, you should probably do that. Okay, so I just need to get this in a place where you can see it and I can see it. Hopefully that's working for you. Okay, so I want to start off just by making sure that this is actually at a 90-degree angle, because it looks a bit not 90 degrees, doesn't it? The canvas. So let's make sure that's at 90 degrees. I find this bit a bit annoying on the desktop. Oh, and Reagans. I wish there was a way to just make it lock in place. Let's see. Window, edit, file. I think that's annoying. I'm probably just not doing something right. Okay, so right now it's gonna get going good. That's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just go ahead and turn on my perspective tool, and I want my perspective tool to be kind of, I want my vanishing point to be, sorry, I'm still messing with this. I want my vanishing point to be in the center of the space. You can turn the rotate off, can you? That's great, thank you, Sam. Preferences. Enable rotate canvas, brilliant. All right, I'm just gonna make a new sketch. I'm just gonna make a new file then. I just saved that. I don't want to save that. Sorry. I did practice earlier, I swear. Okay, woohoo. Okay, thanks, Sam, that's helpful. All right, see now it just, what the blimey? Oh, I guess you have to do that each time maybe. Oh. After application restart, okay. You're like, Fawn, you're wasting our time. I am, I'm sorry. I thought I had this locked down. So we're gonna just do a 1-point perspective. Okay, cylinders can always be drawn in 1-point perspective as long as they don't have any type of additional element to them. So by that, I mean that if you have a cylinder and it has a handle, the handle, if there's a corner of the handle facing you, then the handle might need 2-point perspective. So as long as the as long as the cylinder has no element that needs to be in 2-point perspective, you can always draw a cylinder in 1-point perspective. And so we're going to start off with 1-point perspective. Thanks, Sam. That was a really helpful tip. So we're going to go to the perspective. Okay, I'm going to go with 1 point, and I want to move that up here. We want it really high. And we want this basically in the center of the page, but we just want it high up and so that we have lots of space in the bottom to play with. So then I'm going to lock that in place. The first thing I'm going to do is, even though we're drawing a cylinder, I'm going to draw a square. I'm going to put it down here towards the bottom. I want to make it as square-esque as I can. And then I'm going to find the center, y'all. Now, I know we've been doing a lot of digital drawing, but trust me, once we get to charcoal, some of you will be so sad that we're no longer doing digital, and some of you will be very happy. So we do mix it up, and we will be mixing it up. And the perspective stuff is the most digital stuff that I do. Now that I found the center of my space, I'm going to click on my circle, and on the desktop, I'm going to place my cursor in the center, and I'm going to move it out. Now, I think on the app, you have to place it in the top corner. The one thing we're looking for here, y'all, is that the circle, when it comes in contact with the square, comes to flat edges. It does not come to points. Okay, that's a key element to this. And if you take my design class, there's a project where you have to draw many, many circles and squares. And that's one of the key lessons, is that it needs to be coming to flat points, not to flat sections, not to points. So let me see here. There we go. That's a bit better. There we go. That's better. Okay. So go ahead now, turn on your perspective guide. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we are going to, just to start with, we are going to build a rectangle. So go ahead and drag those corner orthogonals. Whoopsie. Drag the corner orthogonals to the vanishing point, okay? Make sure they're on a good spot. Okay, so you're going to drag those corner orthogonals to the vanishing point, okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We've done that before. Next bit that's pretty simple is we're going to define the back edge of the rectangle, just like we've done a number of times. I'm just going to guess. I'm going to put it about here. And I'm just going to do my vertical and my horizontal lines to build that back square. There you go. All right. It's not perfect square back there, but that's okay. Oh, I guess I should make it perfect because I'm the teacher. Fine, I'll do it. There we go. Okay, go ahead then. And we're going to find the center. Oh, we need to turn on the line tool. We're going to find the center of that space. And then once we've found the center of that space, we can go ahead and put in our circle. Now, this is the stuff, y'all, that's really, this is the hardest stuff in drawing one, is all this perspective stuff. I think one of the reasons it feels so hard to me is that it's not emotional. It's very logical. It's very like this. And, there's nothing There's something like magical about it, I guess, in terms of the magic of the spirit, you know. But it is magical in the sense of like the interaction of visual understanding and spatial awareness. I think that's magical. So I'm going to lower the opacity down of those layers. I want them, but I don't need them to be singing to me at the present moment. How are we doing? Okay? With me? So the key thing here to remember, and don't worry, I will be making you do this by hand too, haha, is that the circle goes inside the square. Okay, so then if you can always draw the square in perspective, then you can always draw the circle in perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. Okay, and now what I want to do, y'all, is I'm actually going to start off by finding, like locating the planes that I want to build. And what I'm going to do is I want to find the places where the circle, whoopsie, need to change my tool. The circle interacts with the square. So like here, 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 and here. So it's like the place where the widest part of the circle interacts with the flattest part of the square. Okay. Now what's cool about that is once you found that space, if you had 40 ovals going down here, you would know where they interact with the square on each one of those places. So it's actually a really helpful thing to know where it is. So then back here, we're going to do the same thing. And I'm going to go here. And again, like this, y'all, I have the perspective tool on because quite frankly, I just think it makes it so much easier to draw horizontal and vertical lines that way. There. And there. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to lower the opacity of that. I'm going to make a new layer. Okay. Now things get fun. I'm going to go to my straight line tool. And then what I'm going to do is now we're going to do some stuff first here that is just going to be completely like useless in the sense of like what we need at the end, but I want you to see it, okay? Because it will, that way it makes sense in your head. So I'm going to draw my orthogonal. You see, I can draw all the way through there, right? And actually, because I have a computer to help me, I can turn my perspective tool on. And I can do that. Yeah. And I can do this here, yeah. Do that through there. That will should go back through there. It does. Good. Brilliant. That should go back through there. It does. Right. Okay. And then we're going to go here. And then this should go back through there. Will it? Oh, it will. Look at that. Brilliant. And right through there. Easier than flying a plane. Look at that. I'm just imagining I can't fly a plane, really, actually. Okay. So now we basically have, you know, like if we eliminated all the circular parts, we would basically have like a thick cross shooting backwards in space. But what we actually have are measurable structural elements that would define ellipses for us if we wanted to break it down. In addition to those marks, we also have these intersections here. Okay. And then we would have this intersection here. And then this intersection here. And you can see it just shoots back, and as it shoots back, it just comes in contact with those spots in the back. That's exactly what we want. Okay. Okay. That's fine, Martina. Okay. Now, the obvious reality here is that, we're going to make, on this first one, we're going to make the front plane solid. So basically anything on the inside here, it's not going to be visible. So any line that's over here on this side that will eventually be covered by this solid circle will not be visible. Okay. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and let's merge all those layers down. Okay. And then I'm just going to make them change the opacity. And I'm going to make a new layer. Okay. And I can just change colors for fun. It's free, it's easy. It's the way to go. So let's start off here just by taking the circle in the front and let's redraw the circle. Okay. And now let's fill it in. Okay, so go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go see if I can find my mom's air conditioning because it is boiling. Okay, if you need more time, give me a holler out. Okay. Hi, Mom. All right.
For some reason, even though it's a closed circle and I filled it with the bucket, it made my whole background purple.
Okay, check this out. So I found this out earlier and I was like, cool, blimey, I didn't know that was a thing. So on here, do you see on the tolerance? That happened to me earlier, and I lowered the tolerance down quite substantially to like 7. And when I did that, it worked. So if your line isn't opaque enough, and there's a lot of white in the line, because it's either too thin or it's not opaque enough, I think it just fills it in because its tolerance is so high. Try that.
That worked, thank you.
You're welcome.
How do you make the circle match up the second time?
How did I do that? What I did was, if you remembered when we started, we found the center of the square.
Yeah.
And when I did the circle the second time, I just made sure I put my cursor in the same spot. So if you need to, you can zoom in on that spot and find it. It's that intersection there.
Yeah, my issue I'm having is when I start it from that point, or even from where I had started it before, because I messed up. I didn't start it from the center. I can't get it to get aligned the same way. It just kind of has a mind of its own. Well, okay, this time I got it pretty close. So I guess
perfect. Yeah, you're gonna see, even on mine, you can see that it's not exact because I'm using a cursor, and so I will just fill in the little bits and bobs I need later before I fill in the page.
I had that same issue where you started from the center, but it wants to go either up or to the side, it doesn't spread out from the center.
Yeah.
And I think the easiest thing you could do is just try and size it up, eyeball it, and then use the transformation tool to just pull it to where you want it to be. Because it doesn't want to like keep it at the center. Like wherever you click is like the point where one of the sides of the circle starts. So like it doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna have to resize it.
I don't know if it's different on the iPad than the desktop, because yeah, it starts at like if you were to view the circle inside the square, it would be starting from one of the corners instead of starting from the center. But yeah, I mean, I got it pretty close, so it's
Okay.
at least.
If you guys just start it from the very corner of the square, you can fit it to the edges perfectly. You just have to like line up your little cross thing with the corner.
Yeah, that's what I was trying as well, but I was still having kind of a hard time. I don't know if my pen is dying or like not calibrated correctly or something.
Could be.
But,
Okay, perfect. And Sam said, which another great tip, if you're on the desktop, you could hold the shift down when drawing the circle. It helps keep the scale.
Yeah, I just tried to start the circle from like the corner of the square instead of the center, and it worked. Like if you started from one of the square's corners, it will fit like almost perfectly.
Yes, on the app.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
iPad.
it's totally different on iPad, of course. But then, yeah, you definitely can use that, like that. I don't know what it's called. I'm just going to call it the Shrinky Dink tool, and like, kind of like manipulate it and distort it into place.
Yeah, because
You
some
all
of
know
these
what
they
Shrinky
just
Dinks are? Yeah. So Shrinky Dinks, you used to put them in the oven. I don't know if they still have those.
favorite thing ever as a kid.
Oh, good. I'm glad they still exist. All right. Thanks everyone for the pointers and the tips. Let's keep those coming. I love them. All right. So then in the back, yeah, what you want to do is we can do the same exact thing in the back. Okay, just like that. And get it as close as you can. Again, any small little problems you have, you can just kind of like, you can fix it. By when we do the lines. So now this is important. Go ahead and make a new layer because we don't need some of that stuff we just drew. And what we want to use, we can turn the perspective tool back on. And then what we're going to do is only what's going to be visible, we're going to trace over the planes, and we'll add a few more too. So we have those two, they're easy to see. Okay. Then back here, whoops. This one is easy to see. This one is easy to see. Okay. Now, that's kind of like almost all we would see, like, of the connections. We're not going to see the left cross or the lower cross. What we want to find out here is the widest part where the orthogonal there intersects. So whatever is the widest part, okay? Now we have this diagonal from the center of the square. We're going to pick that up and take that back. Okay. Now let's turn off the first layer, and we have this now. And what we're going to do is we need to look to see, like, what do we really need? So I need to keep the perspective tool on, and I need to say, okay, well, right there is a really wide part of the circle, and I'm going to draw that back like that. And I can keep going. And the moment it goes behind You see how that went behind the main circle? I don't need it. Okay. This line here is going to be a problem for me. So I'm actually going to try to erase it. So I'm still using the perspective tool. And what I'm doing is I'm just lining my cursor right up on the line and going back and forth with it, see if I can't erase it a little bit more so it doesn't become a big issue for me. I think that looks better. And I'm going to go back to the place where I see the widest part of the circle. And I'm going to pull that down until it comes in contact back there. So now let's try to go like in the middle here, because I think that there would be a plane there. And one here too. Oops. So what I want you to imagine doing is if you've ever cut foam core, like rectangular foam core into a circle, that's what I want you to imagine, or cardboard. Now, if you have a piece of cardboard and it's a rectangle and you want to curl it into a circle, you would make even scores that wouldn't go all the way through the cardboard, that would just go partially through the cardboard. And say they're an inch apart. Well, you would make even scores that are inch apart all the way around the cardboard. And then when you picked the cardboard up and you bent it, it would now become a circle. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn on my eraser and I'm going to actually make it a bit bigger so that I can keep track of it. I'm going to go to my layer with the circles on it. And I'm actually going to erase the circle back there that I don't need. I'm going to be careful as I get close to what I do need so that I can then just simply shrink my eraser down, and get really close. Oh, I need to turn off the perspective tool. That's what's up. Now I can get really close to that contour, you see? It's a little funky right here. So it can be a little nosy back there. I'm going to use my technical pen. Make it pretty small. And then on my other layer with all the lines, I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to kind of like, don't tell anybody, I'm just going to close that off. I want to make sure that all of my lines are now connected. Okay. And then the next thing to do is to merge those two layers together. Okay. Now let's continue the good work you did on your 1-point digital drawings. Let's continue to think about light logic. Okay. So you've got light. We're going to pull our light for the whole space from the left. So let's start off with our fill tool. Okay. And I find when I did that red earlier, I found it a bit too strong for me. So I'm going to make it like a gray, like a middle gray, browny red. So I'm going to fill this in like that. Okay. Now what we're going to be doing is achromatic, which means that it's value steps with just one color. Okay. So we have this color, which is like, we're going to use that as like our midtone color. All right, but we don't want to make, we want to make sure that there aren't any sides of our planes on the side that are the same color, because they're just going to disappear. So we're just going to keep it pretty similar here. And I'm just going to move it towards the left and desaturate it a little bit. Okay, and so then our light's going to come from the top left. So that means that these top sections are all mostly going to be pretty light until about the center section here, say. So I'm going to make that section my first section. It's going to be if black is 0 on the value scale, I'm going to make it sort of like a number 7. Now coming up towards the left, all I'm going to do is just very carefully going to go through, and I'm just going to increase the light each time so that it's getting incrementally brighter. Okay. Now we can go back down to this one here. Okay, we want to go one darker step. We're going to make that the darker step. Now this is a cylindric form. It's a cylinder, so that means light is going to bend all the way around it like the Earth. Okay. And so we need to do some reflected light here. That's the light that's bouncing off of the surface and back onto the cylinder. So I wouldn't do this one. I think that one's a bit too dark, but we're going to go back. We're going to pick up this color and that last little section. Oh, blimey. This last little section here. Oh, it's not going to, why aren't you playing nicely? Well, that's the one we're going to do that color. And so there's a little bit of light that's bouncing up. Okay. All right. So I'm going to hold my shift bar down. I'm going to zoom out. And so now I've got this cylinder like that, and it's got some light logic bending light around it with some reflected light at the bottom. Now, if you find this front part too obstructing, well, you know, there's lots of things we can do in there, but one of the easiest things to do maybe would just be a gradient. Like if I click on that one, then I could just put a gradient in here. Oh, no, don't want it on there. I just want it in the circle, please. Gradients only set at 7. Maybe I need to make a new circle, a new layer to get that to work. That'll be good enough. Here we go. So we could maybe do something like that. And then we could change our colors here. We can say that color there. That's going to be this color. Then, oh, then this one is going to be that color. And then this one is going to be that color. How's that? That's a bit better. Or you could say, I don't like that at all, Vaughn. I just want to go like that. It's way easier. It looks the same. I don't know. I think that looks a little better. I don't know. So now we've got a cylinder on the side, okay? Now, the reason that I think this is slightly more technical than the perspective is because we want to start thinking a lot about how do we break down these planes, okay? And what do they look like on the outside that's visible, and what do they look like on the inside? So we're going to start getting a lot of lines happening here, okay? So I'm going to move this over. Okay, down here on the bottom right sort of area, let's go ahead. Okay, and which way do I want to do this? Okay, we're going to do another one kind of like that. And let's be naughty. Okay, let's be naughty, and let's unlock our vanishing point. Okay, and let's drag it down. I don't care. I don't care if we're going to have multiple vanishing line, multiple perspectives on one page. I don't care. We're going to do it. All right. So now we're going to do another one, all right? And so this time we're going to do this, and we're going to go up to the top here. Oops, and I'm going to use the right tool for the right job. Okay. Oh, actually, I want to make sure that I'm working with a new layer. So I'm going to just make a square. Okay, and then I'm going to find the center of my square. Just like we did before, and like we've done so many times now. You should be bored of it. You should be feeling like you're not learning anything, but you are. You're learning tons of stuff. Okay, so then we're going to find the center of the square. I'm going to put our circle in. And we want it to touch the outside edges. And it's a perfect way for you to learn and remember that the circle is not going to come to a point anywhere. Okay, so go ahead and get that set up. And I have to find an outlet somewhere. Okay. So now let's turn on our perspective guide and see where it is. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to do my orthogonals. Hello, I said I was going to do my orthogonals. Please participate. Good job. And you'll see that it's quite close to the horizon line. So the bottom edge is going to feel quite a bit like there's some horizontal lines happening in there. But again, they aren't going to be truly horizontal because they're going to go to this vanishing point. I swear, if you don't get over there, I'm going to turn you off and I'm going to use the Apple products. Wait, I am using Apple products. That makes sense. Okay, there we go. That was a lot of work. Okay, now let's create back here. Let's go ahead and create our new rectangle. I'm going to zoom in there because it gets easier when you can see it. It's going to go over there. That's going to come down through here. Then that's going to go, well, not quite. It's going to come through there. And then we're going to find the center. Like so. And then I'm going to use Sam's tip here for me, and I'm going to put this down there. Oh, no, that's interesting. Didn't work for me. Oh, that's okay. Boop. Okay. Now we have our little anarchy sign going on there. Okay. So now we're going to use our keep our perspective tool on. And we're going to find our widest parts here. Here. Okay. Here. See? Here. Okay, and then we're just going to drag those orthogonals from those points down, and they're going to give us our places where we're going to intersect back through there. And that will just, you know, these will become the beginning of our planes, right? Very tiny little planes back there. Come on, little friend. There we go. Okay, and then we have these ones back here. Now these are helpful, like what we're doing basically is like, all right, so last time we only did the one side. This time we're going to do the planes on the inside as well as on the outside. So we need all these lines. Okay. So then of course back here now, that's going to give us our little vertical and horizontal axis. Okay. And you're suffering for a few moments there. How's it going? Yeah. Eleanor, you probably know how to do this in like 4 different programs from interior design. I don't, what are you using there? SketchUp and what else?
SketchUp, and also render the SketchUp models in Inkscape, and there are also lots of things that you can adjust.
Yeah, cool. Probably way more advanced than this.
Pretty the same.
Oh, all right. Well, that makes me feel good. Thank you. I don't need a higher graphics card. I can just use a free app. Okay, so questions about any of that? Okay, so are you all getting this idea? It's like this really important idea that, first of all, that the cylinder breaks into flat spaces. You know, I once had a student said, this instructor is just, I don't understand her. She teaches us how to draw straight lines with curves and curved lines with straight lines. That's kind of true. I do that stuff, okay? Because when you draw a circle and you're freehand in the circle, you can do angles of the circle to create the angles to create the circle. And that's basically what we're doing. The only difference is that we're using the computer right now to help us to create the structure, and then we're just breaking it down. All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and we're going to do an object in 1-point perspective with a handle, and then we're going to go into 2-point perspective. Okay? All right, good job, everybody. So 10 minutes, okay?
Professor,
Yeah.
did you see my message over Canvas? I just have to leave 20 minutes early today because
You resume the recording, and then I am going to find the layers. I don't know where they've gone to. I think I accidentally, I don't know what just happened. Okay, so we're just going to take all this in Windows, layer editor. It's gonna turn all of this off. Okay. Okay, so perspective. And where should we leave it? Let's see. Let's move that up. I think what's going to be easiest is if we move it up a bit higher. Okay. All right. So now we're going to do a mug with a handle. Okay. So let's go ahead and start off with changing things up, right? We're going to change things up quite considerably here. We're going to start off, let's start over here. Actually, you know what? Let's move the vanishing point over to the left like that. That'll be easier. Okay. I'm going to start off with, let me make sure I have a color that you can all see. I'm going to start off with my pen. Okay. And I am going to make a new layer, and I'm going to do a little bit here. I'm going to do a horizontal line. That looks a bit too thin. You probably can't see that very well. There you go. You can hopefully see that a bit better. Okay. Now, I'm going to do my orthogonals back there, back there. Okay. Now I'm going to do a line here, and we don't want it to be gigantic. We want that space to be relatively square-esque if you were to stand it up. So one of the ways you can measure that is if you continued this line over here, and then you drew a straight line here, you would get a distance that would be measurable from here to here. And you could say that distance is less than a quarter of this whole space here. So that could be one way that you could find that measurement. Okay. So then we're going to do a straight line down here and a straight line down here. Now think about how wide a mug might be and how tall a might mug be. How tall a mug might be. So you're going to pull that down there, right? And then you're going to pull this down here. Okay. And then here we're going to go over, and then our orthogonal will see that's not going to work. You see, not going to work, Professor Vaughn. You got to go from the front. You can't go from the back. You got to go from the front. So there's my lesson for myself. That's going to go like that. It's going to be a really awkwardly shaped mug. But we're rolling with it. We're doing it. We're rolling with it. If we do that, we can see it's not going to line up because the front one's not long enough. That's my problem again. So I'm going to bring this down. And then I need to redraw that there. Okay, and now these two should line up. Relatively, they do. Okay. It's compromise, y'all. It's compromise. All right. So now we're not going to draw the circle on the face. It's going to go on the top. And that's going to make things a bit more complicated. So I'm going to lower the opacity of this. Okay, make a new layer. I'm going to put on my line draw tool, and I'm going to draw corner to corner. There. And there. Here. and here. Now that actually creates for me a vertical axis that's running through the middle of the space here. And I should draw that with this on so that I get an actual vertical line. There we go. And if I then, why don't I change colors? Why don't you change colors too, so it's easy for you to track? Boop, 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 boop. Got the old Union Jack in there. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. I want that to come through there. That's good. Okay, so now let's see what happens. Let's just see. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what's going to happen. If I take the oval tool now, the question is, can I build an oval inside there with the oval tool? I can bring it to a certain point, but then I'm going to do a lot of distortion. And so I don't want to do that. I'm afraid we have come to the moment, y'all, where we need to freehand. Now, we do have this little tool here, which can be helpful. Let's see. So if I move that to the center, I can then move this like that. And then I can stretch that. But again, you see, I'm in this weird space where, because of the perspective, it's just really not going to be compliant. I'm not going to be able to make it compliant. So I'm going to have to freehand. All right. And so to do that, we're going to actually divide a little bit further. Okay, so here's our space. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through here and here and here. Good, I remember to start recording. And here. Okay. So now that gives us a little bit more of a division of space. All right. So now come through here, you're going to come down and you're going to come to about halfway. And so then we're going to make a mark like here. So then watch what happens. I turn on my 1-point perspective tool. I'm going to come, whoops. I'm going to come back down here till it intersects there. And then I'm going to come over here till it intersects here. And then I'm going to come here. And then I'm going to come there. Now, why did I pick that point? I picked it, y'all, because it was about halfway. Okay. So now the freehanding time. So I'm going to make a new layer. And this is where I wish I was on the app, because it'd be much easier to freehand the circle. But basically what I need, and I can take this down in opacity if I want, is now I need to think about this location, this location, this location, this location, this location, right? This one, and this one. Okay. And one of the ways that we can set ourselves up here for success is we can also think about the idea of how the oval comes to a flat rather than a point. Okay, because otherwise I might try to do this. I might try to just put an oval in here, whoopsie, an oval in here that comes to a point, and it doesn't come to a point, right? It comes to a flat part. So I'm going to turn on my perspective tool. And I'm going to pull an orthogonal down through there. This side should be a hair larger through there. And then here, and the back of that should be just a hair smaller because of the perspective. Okay, so now we're starting to see the thickness of the flat part. Now, what's nice about that is that also gives us a chance to say, all right, well then, I can also go straight up here, straight up here, straight up here, straight up now, tell me, are you gonna work for me, you oval, oh, oh, oh. Sorry, little Paula Abdul for you. Anybody know Paula Abdul? I don't know. And that's gonna come up there. Okay, and then this is gonna come up here. It's gonna come up here, okay? Then I can also find this point here. And this point, do you see? So now I've got all these points that are measurable that I can build within, right? Rather than just trying to guess where the oval goes. So let's see, it's a little harder on here, but we could use a French curve per se. You know, maybe let's see, we take a French curve, then I can take that and I can use that curve and I can bring it in there and I can say, okay, I need a line that's going to curve through there. And then I can just draw that line. Now, I honestly do think you wouldn't need to do this and it'd be much easier on the Apple, on the iPad or on a Surface, but it's a really helpful tool. This is what a French curve is all about. So then I can take the French curve and I can move it over here and I can draw that bit. And I can rotate it. I can move it in here and I can draw this bit. Can't see it because of my, all the stuff from Zoom is covering it. It's not quite right, but that will do for now. And you can see how, depending on the placement in the perspective, the curve is a bit more angular than other places. Do you see?
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
could actually do that. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I can't find this French curve on my iPad.
Yeah, on the iPad, you're just going to have to freehand it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and actually, I think that's much easier.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I just couldn't get the. I can't get the cursor to do what I want. Yeah, on the desktop, I can't get the cursor to give me a smooth line. So the French curve is kind of coming in really handy for that, because I can line it up with all my different little points. Okay. Now, if you've never used a French curve, this is the type of thing that we used to use all the time. And it's just basically a tool that has, you know, predetermined curves to it. And you can see all I'm doing is I'm just kind of like lining it up. And I'm saying, well, that little bit of curve looks quite nice there. And if it's wrong, I'm just kind of moving it and saying, well, actually it goes here. Now that's like, I know this is one of those like really annoying Professor Vaughan things where you're like, what the hell, right? Well, that gives me like a nice shape, gives me a nice idea of what that curves might look like. So now I can take that, I can change that opacity down. And now I have something that's kind of in the right shape. And I can take that and I can start to slowly freehand, you see, where I think that's going to go. And again, I feel here, if I was on the tablet, this would be much easier. You see, because the tablet is a much more natural way to draw than with your finger. And if you're on your phone, I'm so sorry. Whew. So that gives me a general shape of my ellipse. You see? The French curve is just a nice little tool to help us get like a little bit of a shape to get started. I'm just going to work my way until I find that shape. There we go. Okay. I can even take that now and I can be, saucy. And I can make a new layer above that. I can zoom in. And I can now trace with a different color, say. With a pencil, you feel the ellipse with your wrist and your arm. And it's really hard to do that on the trackpad. But if you do your best, you will get something that feels correct. And it has to intersect with all those areas that we defined. But y'all, we aren't digital media arts and animation. If it's a little bit off, that's okay. See what you can do. Is it frustrating as a teacher for my students to see me struggle with something? Yes, but I think it's so important. I want you to know that I'm struggling with this. I think it's really silly for you to think that your professors don't struggle with some things. Yeah. I have 2 master's degrees and I still find that a struggle. So don't you let anybody tell you, differently. In terms of like, you can't, that failure is not something that you need to be comfortable with, because it is 100% what you need to be comfortable with. Is there no straight line tool on the desktop? Yes, there is, Victoria. It's mixed with the draw style tool. But I actually want y'all to feel that. I do. I want you to start to get used to feeling that. Oh, look at that. It did that for me. How nice. So apparently there's a predictive stroke tool, which is this one here. And if I do an ovally shape, it kind of brings it into a shape that's closer to what I want it to be. which is nice. It's nice, but I'm not going to use it. I mean, I feel like this would be helpful if I could get it, you know, but again, cool, great. Don't want you to use it. I want you to freehand it. Then we can use the computer to help us. We're going to use the computer to help us. Okay, we're going to take this layer and we're going to copy it. Okay. And then we're going to take that, and take this. And we're just going to drag it down. Okay, now you can see it doesn't fit exactly right. The reason it doesn't fit exactly right is because our vanishing point is up here. So there needs to be some distortion down here. So if we go back to our shape, let's see. Yeah, we can rotate it. Well, that's not going to do it. It's not going to rotate it. That's not enough. We need to distort. Let's see, is this going to help us to distort? Yes, look at that. And so we say, all right, well, let's see. If I put that there, and I put this here, oh, look at that. Oh, that's the tool we needed earlier. But guess what? I'm glad we drew it by hand. I'm glad. That helps us get good. It helps us get better. Now you're all thinking, I'm not glad we drew that by hand. I am. If you failed, that's okay. That's okay if you failed. Do it again, try it again. Oh, I never turned on the recording. Haha. Zoom recording. Okay, so we're going to move into 2-point perspective now. So 2-point perspective. So in 1 point, we had some rules, right? So 1 point, horizontal equals horizontal, vertical equals vertical, orthogonal equals orthogonal. In 2 point, things change up. So in 2 point, vertical equals vertical, everything else is orthogonal. Okay, so things are a bit different there. So here we go. Let's play. So I'm gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna delete that. Okay, we're gonna go to the 2-point perspective tool. So this is 1 point. This is 2 point. So you can see now I have 2 vanishing points, one on the left, one on the right. And you can see that my tool, the little cursor, changes based on the direction it goes, you see? So let's just build a very simple box. I'm going to use my pen. I want you all to do this as well, okay? So we said in the 1 point perspective, we could always see it as 1 point perspective because it always had one face facing us. In a 2 point perspective, you will always have a corner facing you. So go ahead and draw a vertical line. Okay, now what needs to happen is
You now have two sides, this side that way, this side this way. Okay, so that's one plane moving to the right. Now over here, you have another plane, oh, and it's moving up to the left vanishing point, up to the left vanishing point. Now the center of the page, right? Like we need to just check this. I'm just going to check this with you. We're going to make a new layer. I'm going to turn off that layer. I'm going to turn off the vanishing point. I'm going to turn on the angle tool, and I'm going to just draw corner to corner of the page. Okay, sorry, I couldn't see because the zoom box was in the way. So corner to corner, okay? That's now going to give us a vertical center. So let's mark that, okay? And what we want to see is where is each vanishing point. So if I go right here and I do a vertical line through that point, vertical line through that point, and then I'm just going to mark the horizontal center, so the horizon line. I'm going to turn this off. Now, if this point and that point are equal distance, then that means that visually from our standing point, half of our objects go this way, half of them go that way, okay, if we're right in the center. However, as things move to the left or to the right, then the quantity of the planes that we see will change. So when we turn this on, we can see that the corner is to the right of the center of the page. Therefore, if this was a square, we would see slightly more of the square on the right side and slightly left of the square on the left, less of the square, because we see we're seeing more of the right side than the left side. If I say that correctly, or remember backwards. That's correct. Okay, so then we would connect that. We're going to connect that. Connect that. Connect that. Then when they intersect here, they're going to go vertical.
How do you get your horizon line flat?
Am I doing the horizon line flat?
How do you get yours flat? Because whenever I'm trying to do it, the vanishing points keep trying to go up and down, and I can't get my horizon line to be like horizon line.
Oh, on the app?
Yeah, when I'm trying to set the
Is
perspective.
your canvas turned at all, like rotated?
I don't think so.
Okay, so then what you need to do is like you need to, you know, because it sounds like you have your horizon line unlocked. So if it's unlocked, then you need to basically just try to visually bring it down until it lines up. Does that help?
Kind of. I mean, I'm trying to do that, but it's kind of difficult. I mean, I guess it looks okay.
All right, so why not do this? Why not on the app, you have the guide tool. Let me show you. Hold on. This is the type of problem too, y'all, that we get with the pencil and the ruler, because it's hard to get, like, how do you know when the ruler is completely lined up to the edge of the page? So what you have to do is literally, you have to literally take the edge of the ruler and line it up with the edge of the machine edge of the drawing pad. And that's the only way to really ensure that you have like a really straight edge. So here's my iPad aerial. And at the bottom there, I can see when my angle's 90 degrees. Do you get to do that? Can you see that?
Yeah, well, mine says 0, but.
Okay, whatever. Okay, let me clear this. And then if I click on my guide will actually tell me when it's lined up, you see?
Yeah.
So try that. Okay, and then you can turn on your perspective grid. You have this, right?
Yeah.
And what you're saying is, how do I know when that's straight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things you could do would be to pull that line over and line it up against the edge. And once it's straight, then you could kind of like slide it over. Okay. The other thing is like you could put your guide on, find the center of your page. And I love doing this stuff with y'all because like, it doesn't matter what process I would be doing. Even if I was doing like a charcoal drawing, the process would be the same for me. So then once I find the center of the page, I don't need my horizon line to be perfect to draw my vertical line, basically. And now I can move my 2 points down, right? Until they get towards the center. Okay.
Okay.
And then to check that, what I would do, I'm going to lock that. And then to check that, what I would do is I would turn on the guide and just use the guide to draw a line right through the middle. And then if I turn that on, if it lines up, then I'm good to go.
That one, that's what I did, and it worked well.
It worked well. Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Well, we're just going to keep going with this then. So I'll just keep using the app since I'm on the app now, and we only have 30 minutes left, 20 minutes left. So here we go. So what we did was we placed a vertical line, right? And then we did an orthogonal, an orthogonal, orthogonal, and orthogonal. And then I've got this. So I decided on my widths of each side. And then I went orthogonal, 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 orthogonal. And then I went back there. Okay, now let's do another one. I think I did misspeak earlier. So the closer the side, no, I don't think I did. The closer the side to the vanishing point, the smaller the visual amount of the side will be. So let's put one up here on the top. And let's go here. And you have to kind of get a rhythm going in your brain. This one goes there, that one goes there, this one goes there, that one goes there. And if you can get that rhythm going, then you're able to kind of like, it will sort of flow. What you have to remember is that depending on which way a side is going, that's going to determine which vanishing point it goes to. They want that side to go towards the left, so it's going to go to the left. Want that side to go towards the right, it's going to go towards the right. I want this side here, and then the bottom's going to go to the left. And then I want this side here, and the bottom's going to go towards the right. So just like with the other stuff that we've done, this point and this point create the intersection for that line. This point and this point, this point and this point. These are your corners, right? Okay. Thanks. Okay, so I'm in the 2-point system. This is 1 point, right? This is 2 points. It's got 2 vanishing points. I'm always going to start with a corner. So once I've got the corner, I'm going to go orthogonal to the right, orthogonal to the right, orthogonal to the left, orthogonal to the left. Now the side on the right is going to be shorter. So I'm going to make a mark where I think it's going to go. The side on the left, I'm going to make it longer. So make a mark where I think it's going to go. Then from the top corner, I'm going to go orthogonal. Can you see that? Maybe I should change colors. Orthogonal. From this left point to the right vanishing point. So left to the right vanishing point. Then from this point, I'm going to go to the left vanishing point. So this point is going to go to the left. Same thing on the bottom. Left goes to the right, right goes to the left. Where they will intersect is a vertical line. Better?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, of course. And so then, you know, what happens, y'all, is you just get really used to it. It becomes, like I said, it becomes something you just don't really think about. Right? It becomes something which, just like the other stuff, you start to get, you know, it's the repetition that makes it functional. So depending, right here, you can see that this box is above the vanishing line. So, excuse me, above the horizon line. So we're going to see the bottom. This one is below the horizon line. So we're going to see the top. Okay. So let's do something a little bit more complicated. Let's clear. Let's turn on perspective guides. Okay. And then let's move them a bit. So let's unlock them. Let's move them. Okay. All right. And then lock them up. We're going to start with our corner. And I'm going to start like this. I'm going to go above and below the horizon line. Then I'm going to go bottom corner to the right side, bottom corner, top corner to the right side, bottom to the left, top to the left. Now I'm going to go here and here. Why? Because I want to. It just seems like a good distance. Here, I'm going to go back there. Back there. Here, I'm going to go back there. That's going to go back there. And then now we've got our vertical line back in that back corner. Now here, because the top and the bottom, the top is above the horizon line, the bottom is below the horizon line, we're neither going to see the top nor the bottom. Okay. Take that layer, pull its opacity down. Okay. Make a new layer. Change colors, they're free. Grab your Draw Styles tool, corner to corner, corner to corner. Okay. Back here, corner to corner. Over here, corner to corner. Perspective tool on. Orthogonal. Orthogonal. Where they intersect in the center, vertical line, vertical line. Okay, new layer, change colors. You're going to trace the outside edge. You're going to trace the bottom edge, the top edge, the corner, the bottom, the top, the vertical, orthogonal, vertical. So now we have a shape like that. Okay, now something's missing. Who knows what's missing? Based on what we can see right now and the location of this object, what else should be visible that we haven't drawn?
The right orthogonal.
Which one?
Top right.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So we need to where we cut out that little square, we need to now draw the back edge. And so to do that, it can be helpful for us to have this tool on, like to have this layer on, but we don't really need it. Because all we really need to do is draw the orthogonal from this point back to the left. And now there's the top. Okay. So let's turn this layer back on. And now we're just going to do our vertical over here. Okay. And we're just going to play around, y'all. I'm just going to divide the space a little bit and see what kind of trouble we can get into. I'm going to go with blue so we can see it. I'm going to go, whoops, pardon me. I need my draw tool. I'm going to go here and here. Okay. And then I'm going to do a vertical line there. And you've done this before. I'm just dividing space, y'all. Now over here, I'm going to go here to here on the bottom, just having fun. I'm not changing the world. I'm just making a mess and having a blast doing it. And turn that on. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to make a new layer. I'm going to turn that down. It's too loud. It's too loud. Okay. I'm going to get on my new layer here and I'm going to go to a darker color. I'm going to trace this line here until it hits that point. And then I'm going to look at this orthogonal here through that center that we found. So then I'm going to trace all my new shapes. I'm going to trace that edge to there. I'm going to trace that and trace that. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to pull that down and move that. I'm going to do that line and pull that and pull that. Now we've got one line left that we haven't included. That's going to be from this point here to the right. So you can see it's another system where if you understand the rules, then you will get established and logical results. So we're not done yet with 2 point, obviously. This is just the beginning. Okay. So this is just the start of the 2 point process. Okay, so your homework is the cylinders. Look at the assignment, okay? And in a minute, it will take me 1 second. I'll make an in-class discussion. Okay, but I just wanted to show you like something that, you know, to take a little bit further than what we're going to do is just divide the space a little bit more.
Can I bring something up? I just wanted to let you know this. Due today, probably, I'm guessing on accident, was a 100 point, it was due at 12:30 today, was a 100 point, 2 point perspective skull drawing.
Mm-hmm. It shouldn't have been visible.
Yeah, it says it's late on mine now, and it says it was due today.
Yeah,
Same with me.
Okay, thanks. it just, you know, it's turned off, so you shouldn't have been able to see it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
On that note, I can also see a texture and value packet due May 12th at 12:30.
Yeah, I need to go through today because I just thought we would do the syllabus. So when they're unpublished, you shouldn't see them. That's what it should be.
I mean, I think they're not unpublished is probably what I'm thinking, because we can see all of them.
We'll have a look now because I just unpublished them.
I'll refresh my page.
Thanks for letting me know.
The one that hasn't been complete, like the one that was due on the 12th, the texture packet disappeared, but the skull drawing still appears as an overdue assignment.
Oh, you know why? I remember what it is. Sorry. Somebody submitted a they submitted a drawing to that. Let me stop this. Hold on. Let me stop the recording.